Hey folks, so as you all know, hopefully by now you all have off, at least in terms of writing 1010 on Friday, October 13th. And I wanted to give you the day off for a number of reasons. I heard from a bunch of students who wanted to leave campus early, and because of what travel looks like this weekend, I totally understand that. So I was more than happy to cancel class for that reason. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, you know what, all of you deserve just a day of rest, or if you want to start your mid-semester break early. You've all really put in a great deal of effort, and I am immensely impressed by the work that folks have done. So, happy early mid-semester break. The point of this video is to look more closely at journal number 10, which is the journal that's due after mid-semester break, so the Wednesday after. And this journal, it's kind of serves two purposes. It's an opportunity to become familiar with doing academic research, but it has the second purpose of getting 25% of your annotated bibliography complete. That is, that what I'm going to ask you to do is look at a source, summarize the source, and then evaluate the source, which is essentially an entry in the annotated bibliography. So let's take a look at how to do that. And most importantly, if you have questions, reach out. So the point of Journal 10 is to really come up with 25% of your annotated bibliography. And so what I'm asking you to do is really, number one, find a source. Number two, create a APA reference entry for that source, then summarize the source, and then evaluate the source. So this is what your Journal 10 entry will look like when it's done. So you have an APA reference entry, a summary of the article or website or TED Talk or documentary film or whatever it is that you located, and then an evaluation. And that talks about how you think the piece you've located might be relevant or useful in the context of eventually writing an essay that you'll do in Unit 4. This we've talked about, right? We've talked about the summary. This is more based on your own personal view. So really the only thing I want to go over and discuss in this video is this, coming up with an APA reference entry. So let's look at the different ways that you can do that. All right, so in this example, let's pretend like you're writing an essay on why NCAA athletes should be paid. Now, I know Mark went over the sort of steps of doing academic research, but let's just say that you search the library databases here at NEC with the keywords why NCAA athletes should be paid. And I would encourage you to take a look at the various results you get, but I'm just going to click on the first one just for the sake of this exercise and see what we get. So if at first you don't succeed, try again. Why college athletes should keep fighting for employee status. And we can actually get to the article right here. We can access the PDF, but for the purposes of what I want to show you is when you're doing a bibliography, one of the things you need to do, if you remember, you have to have that APA reference entry. So anytime you find a source in the NEC library, what you have at your disposal is a perfect citation generator. And you'll see it right up here. So it shows up as little quotation marks, and you'll see that if I hover over it, the word cite shows up. So I click on that right here. Here is a perfect citation. Now it's going to give you all these different options of what format you want to use. Now we are going to use APA 7 in writing 1010. So I'm going to choose APA 7, and there it is. That's a perfect APA reference entry that I can use for my annotated bibliography. If you are locating a source in the NEC library databases, you need only use the cite tool to get the APA reference entry. All right, great. Now let's say you find a source out in the world on Google Scholar or some other search engine. How do you create a reliable APA reference entry in that case? Well, let's do that next. All right, so let's say you found your way to this particular article using just Google, and you searched why NCAA athletes should be paid, and you got to this Forbes article, which, by the way, Forbes is a very reputable resource, something you could use in a college level essay. You always want to sort of lean towards the more academic and scholarly articles, but that doesn't mean you can't mix up your list of sources with a popular source, which what Forbes is. It's considered a popular source, a journalism source, right? So here it is, why the public strongly supports paying college athletes. All right, great. So it's written by this person, Nicole Kraft. We can get some insight into who they are. It says right there, I'm a sports media professor. And here's the actual article itself. Now, this is pretty riddled with advertisements, which I'm not crazy about. So I'm going to change it to just reading view. But what I'm interested in is, remember, you have to create an APA reference entry. So how do you cite this source right here? Well, the answer is using an online citation generator. And there's a lot of different options at your disposal. If you remember in class, I talked about why Citation Machine is one of the worst. The one I like, mybib.com, seems to be one of the better. Now, again, if you're getting an article through the NEC library, you don't need to use an online citation generator because you can simply use the cite tool in the library. But if you're getting your sources from the sort of open web, just through a general web search, then creating an APA reference entry can be a little bit tricky. And that's where these citation generators can be helpful. This is what it looks like. One of the things I like about it, there's no advertisements, which I think is great. So we're here, right, on this page. It says, okay, what do you want to do? So you have to choose sort of the format you're interested in, APA 7. And then it says, all right, now give me the URL to your essay or your article, rather. So I'm going to go back and steal the URL from that Forbes article, go to my bib, copy and paste it, and it kicks back this. And it basically tells us, is this right? I found this article, seems like it's right. You gave me the URL, it seems to line up, but you tell me, is this correct? And you click on it and it will basically just create an APA reference entry for you. Now it's basically correct. Right out of the gate, there's a few things that might be a little problematic. I noticed that it doesn't have the date, August 21, 20, yeah. So it doesn't, for whatever reason, this is a good example of how online citation generators are only as good as the information you give them. And even then they sometimes miss things. For whatever reason, it missed the date. I don't know why it missed the date, but it missed the date. So I could go in and I could tell it, hey, you missed the date. So now it's created a proper APA reference entry for us. Right there it is. So it's got the author's name, it's got the date of the source, it's got the title of the source. That's the way an APA reference entry will look. Now, remember, there's examples of this on Blackboard. So if you want to take a look at what this looks like when it's all done, you need only go to Blackboard and take a look at the annotated bibliography example. The evaluation paragraph, which is like the last thing you do, it's hard to sort of look at various examples, but I encourage you to take a look at the bibliography example on Blackboard to get a sense of how you write that. The idea of the evaluation paragraph in its purest form is this. How can I use this source in order to write a strong essay? Do the best you can. And of course, as always, reach out with any questions. And by all means, please have a fantastic mid-semester break and be safe. And let me know if you need anything.